said, it's bad when you go outside your house and you find out your tires are gone or slashed, you know. Not only me, but like I said, 17 other people in the area. You know, I think there was about 13 in the city garage and the rest around the surrounding area. You know, it's hard.
Which city garage? I'm sorry, you made
It was on 2nd and 3rd
On Hudson?
Street.
Okay.
All right, you know, I think Councilman Paul, I think you know about that.
Yeah, it's right across from me.
You know, but this is something that's got to be looked into, because it could happen, once it could happen again, and then the city's going to be embarrassed and say, how can this happen? You know, like I said, it's something the city council should look into, because I'm sure you must have seen it in the paper that this happened. But again, you know, I get involved in, I don't want to be another victim of another crime. So we need more police, especially at midnights. You know, because, you know, you got so many police officers patrolling the housing authority, but what about the rest of the city? You know, this is where you got to, you know, into action, let the police be seen, you know. But again, you know, I don't talk too much, but that's what I have to say. One other thing I'd like to discuss, if I have some time left, is the parking authority employees. Friday and Saturday nights, I go walking around the bars and stuff like that. You always have so many cars parked all over the place. I'm sure the parking authority can make some money issue. Double parkers or illegally parked cars and stuff like that. You only got maybe 3 or 4 of them at night. Have the parking authority keep the people on the area, so that way it can keep the police free from Washington Street. You know, the police can do what they have to do to protect the city. You know, this is like you said, sometimes parking authority employees is what, maybe four of them working at night, have them, you know, patrol this area of the city. If they want to make money, you know, stop worrying about, you know, there's people, yes, they control myself, I park off the corner, I pay the ticket if I get one. But, you know, don't be, saying, you know, we're going to stay in this area because we know where we got hit. Keep them on Washington Street, keep them on River Street, keep them on River Street on Firm 121. There's a no parking zone 24 hours a day. Keep the parking authority up there, over the post office and stuff like that, where there's no parking zone. But this investigation of the tire slashing, that should be looked into, because it could happen once, it could happen again. And it could happen again when people have their cars' windows smashed in and things are taped and stuff like that. And the insurance companies, forget about the insurance company, because all they want to do is collect your money. And if you get to pay, they cancel. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Ron Simoncini? That's my tea. Thank you.
Ron
Thank you.
17 Mile Square Taxpayers Association. Thank you, Council President. Over the last few weeks, we've had a series of submissions to the clerk related to a referendum to provide affordable housing and release some landlords from restrictions under rent control. The process has been complicated, to say the least, and there have been exchanges between our attorneys and the attorneys here that have resulted, I think, in a greater understanding on both sides of what the requirements for signatures are and some other conditions related to submission of materials. We are currently in the 4th day or 3rd or 4th day on the 10-day cure period, where we have submitted 520 additional signatures to the original 2,200 or so that we submitted. Plus, we've notified the clerk that we think 235 signatures that were rejected by the clerk should have been counted in the original count. Our threshold is 894 signatures to get on a regular ballot, which would take place in November, and about 1,340 signatures for a special election, which the statute requires would take place 45 to 60 days after this body has an opportunity to either approve or decline to go forward with the referendum question. So it's been a long road. There were a couple of emails that went out from this body, or members of this body, asking people to revoke their signatures. The 2,700 or so that we've collected so far, 6 people did ask to have their signatures revoked, and we revoked those 6. So I think that we're pretty square on the idea that either the people who signed the petition weren't reached by the idea that they should revoke their signature, or people are confident that the question we put forward is relevant and legitimate, and they'd like to see it on the ballot, and I hope that you want to see it on the ballot too. Absent you wanting to see it on the ballot, absent you passing it, there is a 20-day period upon which your first reading takes place, and then there's a 20-day period upon which you can talk to the petitioners about prospectively passing an ordinance that would compel the petitioners to withdraw their question. As we've said all along, and as I've said during this process, there's no way to reform the rent control ordinance by referendum. The only thing you can do is ask a straightforward question and have that provision changed in the ordinance. Of course, you can abolish the ordinance too, but we thought that that was a little extreme. So we asked a question that would relieve the Miles Square Taxpayers Association members and allow the city to do what the city's been saying it would like to do for many years, which is provide affordable housing to people who need it. We know the rent control ordinance does not do that. So we're here before you tonight to say there were many provisions that we passed last spring in conjunction with an agreement that we made with the tenants organization, and we would have those as part of any compromise ordinance. In fact, I think you should pass those provisions whether you do anything to relieve the hardship of rent control for property owners or not. You should pass the provisions the tenants sought because they're fair, they're legitimate, and they're right. From our point of view, you should consider what we're providing here and say that is a window into a new generation of rent control in Hoboken that we'd like to be part of. And maybe there's adjustments to that window that you'd like to see. Maybe there's window dressing that you'd like to see. We would be willing, of course, to discuss that because we agree with you that the referendum question itself does not reform rent control in Hoboken. It is incomplete, it's imperfect, but something has to happen. And so I'm sure the clerk will report to you tonight that we are expected to have met our threshold for a regular election, and we may be pretty close to meeting the threshold for a special election. We're not certain whether or not we want a special election, even if we meet the threshold. We think it's quite an expensive endeavor for the county and the city to undertake, and also by the results of the recent elections, we kind of think we'd probably be better off asking the general populace to agree with us because it looks like, from what we've seen, the policies that we're advocating for, contrary to the ones that got defeated in the polls recently, are things that resonate with voters. So I thank you again. We're here in collaboration and hoping to compromise if there's such a thing. And if not, we'll be on the ballot sometime between September and November. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Andreka? No.
First of all, is this on record at all?
That microphone there.
Okay, so what people are saying can be preserved, correct?
Are we recording?
Not great, but what?
No, I don't want to.
No, Rod is not here.
Clerk's taking minutes, correct?
Well, I'm sure he's not running very fast.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be transcribed, it'll be minutes in the meeting.
Okay, well, it's sort of a farce then. Anyway, I'll start speaking if I'm loud enough because I could not hear without standing there and I couldn't hear the first speaker. All right, my name is Mary Andreka and I've been watching this whole thing from afar, but Ron, I will say rent control is a form of affordable housing. With this referendum, I'm actually concerned how it will be worded because this town is known for not voting, and to get the vote out took a hell of a lot of work on a lot of people's part, including mine, and I killed myself in 2012 and 2013. I often said, why don't they wait till we all die off? But I guess that's not good enough. And the fact that they would be donating $2,400 to affordable housing, they could make that up There is no such thing as affordable housing in this town. The pathetic projects that offer it's I've seen this for years, and it's just bandied about as though that's something wonderful. It's not. The rents that my rent is not a lot, but it's not cheap either. But if I'm not wanted in this town or anybody else, you want a town of just a certain class of people. Well, it has worked that way, and I've watched this rent control battle for years, and it's disgustingly tiring and exhausting. And I'm sure, and I hope, Mr. Ronson, to see you're paid very well for what you're doing, because eventually, as I believe you said back in 2012, we will eventually lose it because time passes, people move on, and we die off. So, therefore, I hope for everyone in the future that this is worded correctly for the pittance that will show up to vote in this town. I'm amazed at the wealth in this town, that people don't vote in this town, that it is it's always amazed me is how apathetic people are. You may not like what's out there, but at least vote on something possibly. And also I want to mention one other thing, and that is the Airbnbs. Every single apartment that is a lower rent because the person was there for 40 years, they die off, it becomes an Airbnb. You have a force has got to make a law about that, please, because you can't throw it off the back when there's no law. There's got to be a rule. A friend of mine, I'm almost done, a friend of mine around the corner, every single apartment is becoming Airbnb. I mean, and of course when he dies off or whatever, you're getting rid of rent control, you're getting rid of affordable housing that way too. So let's quit saying affordable housing is going to be Ron Simon says is going to be the answer for affordable housing, when we know that will not be the case at all. Thank you.
Thank you. No, not yet. Corporation Counsel, just for clarity, I know that you said it to myself and Councilman Doyle, but we do not need to be recording this. It's not required that we record this meeting.
For the meeting, just need we get
Right, and the minutes don't have, it's not like a transcript, it's just minutes. Thank you very much. Manny Rivera Soler.
Good evening, Council President. I was going to speak to the mic, but I just realized that Jen said don't speak to the mic, man. He just walked by. So anyway, I don't know if my voice is going to carry in this chamber, but I just want to clear the record from last meeting, Council President, if I could. I made a quick faux pas when I was mentioning Council Member Provenzano, and I didn't mention Council Member Fisher when they were advocating for the ordinance for the sellers. And I want to correct the record that I do appreciate Council Member Fisher's advocacy for persons with disabilities. Also, Council President, I also have a concern in regards to that ordinance that was passed last meeting in regards to the sellers. Immediately, my concern is, I always ask, why is it that these ordinances get passed so fast, and then all of a sudden, in a planning board meeting, a company is up for that very same thing to get a seller? Meaning the question would be is, and of course, there's no inference, there's no implying that any wrongdoing is going on, but it's kind of too quick when something comes up for an ordinance and when you're fixing an ordinance, and then all of a sudden somebody or some entity or some developer, some business is getting that immediate.
Good.
I lost my place. That immediate quid pro quo to get that space, meaning the sellers. Again, that's just an observation. I don't mean that quid pro quo, meaning that something nefarious is going on. Although my words are not being recorded, but I'm sure in the minutes I wanted to reflect that, again, no one is accusing anyone of anything. It's just a curiosity of why that occurs, because I've seen it happen a lot. My next issue would be this evening is I'm very curious, and Council President, this would be more in a conversation and for you and members of your ward. Church Square Park, it's being moved forward with landscaping and different movements of things in the park. Trees are getting removed and stuff. Members of the public, and especially the neighbors of the park, need to have a better understanding of how and why that's occurring. Has the council voted on that plan already? Are we going to change the park without more input from the members of the public? That is a concern, really, because I was at a meeting at the Shade Tree Commission, and that was presented for review in the Shade Tree Commission. I'm hoping the people in the back are able to hear me. Again, these are important topics that, of course, I may be a person that comes up and speaks a lot, and people don't want me to speak a lot, but it is important because these are things that you follow throughout the different boards and commissions in our city. And there are things that people don't necessarily cue in because they don't necessarily go to the meetings. I also wanted to say that tomorrow at the zoning board meeting, 301 Washington Street is going to be memorialized in a resolution, meaning that building is going to be removed, demolished, and again, as I lobbied before, for any member of the council to try to get the landmark clock returned or a clock returned to that corner, which is very important for the commerce of our city, the architecture of the historic corner. So these are important things. Again, I see that my time is almost up. I also want to say that there is a meeting, meeting on the 24th. It's very important for the community to show up. And, Council President, I also want to say, and I want to close with this, to all our Hobokenites who will be celebrating, commemorating Juneteenth, happy Juneteenth to all of them, happy Juneteenth to all of us. We are a better country for not having people enslaved in any shape, way, or form, whether it be with wages or not. And again, Council President, as I always say, God bless you, God bless this council, and God bless Hoboken, and that will be it. I came in a little long, but thank you.
Thank you, Ned.
Thank you.
Patricia Wade?
Could you let it down?
It's not working. Just, yeah.
Oh, I got a big mouth.
Speak loud.
Patricia Wade is.
You just told us.
Is this anything on agenda?
This is public portion of the non-agenda item.
On non-agenda items?
Anything you want to talk about?
All right, because just bear with me, please. I was eating, so I didn't know where we was at. But I have a few things. Let's start with petitions and communication. I'm trying to understand all three letters. There's three different topics here. I took offense to this the last meeting because I wasn't able to speak. I came in on the last minute, and I know the dying need of affordable housing. I speak for myself and nobody else. I went out and surfaced these petitions myself, and my family and others that I asked to help me, we did not in no time try to deceive anyone, and we all agree we need affordable housing in Hoboken. I don't care who you are or what side you're on, okay? I'm not dumb, I'm not crazy, I'm not illiterate or gullible for all of the names that I was called, because I'm out here being fearful of me being tossed out of Hoboken. This is sentimental to us because I told you again, my family lived here since the 60s, and it's scary to think that you can't still reside in Hoboken. Thanks to you, I can, my course. Anyway, with that being said and done, I surfaced petitions for that particular reason. Whatever we could do to get affordable housing into Hoboken, we need to do it. We need to listen to both sides, but we need affordable housing. At the end of the day, the typical political games they play, we had a developer willing to build us affordable housing, and because an individual don't like him, another mayor from another city, they interfere. These things are serious. I'm saying this to let all of y'all know, and this is the council chairs too, that's up. Pay attention, because we count on you as a government body to do what's right for this city. No, don't worry about who's gonna get impacted, don't even live in this city, and won't let a developer build affordable housing. It's deeper than this, I know, but what I do know is that we need affordable housing. So the signatures that I surfaced, okay, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Clerk, I mean, when I hope this language is to review those signatures. Y'all can clarify it later, because I don't want to lose my chain of thought. To review these signatures, but this still saying that you still gonna accept more signatures, and this, we trying our best to get this on for referendum. So is these three things that I'm pointing to right here for communications, is that what that's about? Anybody? Okay, so we still got an opportunity to bring this to election on November.
You're talking about the initiative?
Yes, I want to know, they saying something's wrong with the petitions, right? Doesn't the city clerk was supposed to review?
Jared, you listed the nowadays it's been cured, at least for general election, right?
So, what's that?
Or for resistance.
It's all down to Smith for
It's at the very least been released.
like you.
Yeah.
Still,
But real quick, Corporation Counsel, so that's not saying they threw my petitions out, because I need to know. Okay, I just need to know in advance, do I need the boxing gloves? Okay, one more thing, the affordable housing, CD1 affordable housing, is this,
but this one
I forgot his name.
is
I mean, it's an increase, but will this help us with the whole affordable housing situation I just spoke about? Is this what this extra $10,000 is for, in support of the affordable housing initiative? Or is this something different?
different. And that's different.
Something different? They just want to give somebody $10,000 gift? Yes, that's it?
No, it's not, does not relate.
Okay. Man,
Lucia,
I think that's it.
you sure?
Yes,
One more time.
thank you. No, I'm looking, thank you.
The public signed up to speak. Motion to close public portion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Wow. No.
How's the visual?
We have a camera over there for a watch.
No, we got nothing working on TV.
Rob, we're recording right now? Yes. Okay.
Oh, that's excellent.
Not streaming, but we're recording.
Yeah, that's
With-
good.
Yeah.
Can we connect the presentation screen? Yeah.
That would be a jerk. People able to see at home.
No, as of now, no.
Jerry, do you know if we have visual yet? No. Okay. Well then, let's move on to second readings.
No, Jim's not on. Don't even worry about it.
Okay.
Do you want me to read? Want me to be the reader? Oh, that's fine. Better one than none. Well, don't start yet, because maybe we will do the presentation. Do you think it'll take a few minutes?
2 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
7?
At least double.
Right there.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh, wait, Jared, we got the presentation on it.
I always wanted to be this close to the camera.
This much work?
Phenomenally bad.
This is like Parks and Rec.
Absolutely.
It's going bad.
It is like Parks and Rec.
Steal all the cameras? Correct.
It's ring and record, but not screen. He will upload it.
It snows.
No, here's the amendment.
Oh, look.
Yeah, John, what's up?
Just gonna ask her, that's what's in the file.
We'll get the presentation from you later.
You have it. You have it already.
Peter. ACC, Casella? Does Casella have two Cs, two L's?
Yes. Yeah, the two C's.
Yeah, one A.
What's up?
Are we good?
Ready when you are. Shall we?
Thank you. HPA budget presentation.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'll use a teacher voice and hopefully it'll come through. Ruben knows what I'm saying. All right, good evening. My name is Roxanne Early. I'm the Executive Director of the Hoboken Business Alliance. I'm joined by our President, James Runkle, members of our Board of Trustee and General Counsel. We're excited today to give you an overview of our annual report for FY24 and review our FY25 budget and work plan. And at the end, we can take any questions. Next one, one more. HBA is a driving force committed to helping small businesses thrive. With a strong record as an economic development entity focused on small business support, the public realm, and tourism, funding the HBA is an investment in the future of Hoboken's prosperity. HBA's forward-looking plans are essential to achieving the City Council's vision for this city. The organization's strategic plan invests in our downtown, in cultural events, in transit, and in the city's strengths and its future. Next slide, please. Since July 1, the HBA has made significant progress as an organization with increasing recognition of our impact, the value of our mission, and our ability to help. With a team of 5 staff, a board of 15 trustees, and a community advisory board of 22 local leaders, we are a leading convener of cultural, civic, residential, and business leaders dedicated to Hoboken's success. In FY25, the HBA draft budget is 7% lower than our current budget as we bring programmatic expenses in line with our strategic plan. The HBA assessment is increased 3%, which is a sub-inflationary increase to revenues towards a balanced budget which supports new programs and investments in the public realm. And the HBA formula is realigned with the goals of our strategic plan, bringing costs down for 54.6% of our assessment payers. The median bill citywide will be $364 per year, and the median decrease in bills citywide will be $17. The accomplishments I am about to share with you are investments that everyone in Hoboken benefits from. As the largest economic development entity in Hoboken, we are ushering in a new era of economic vitality. Visitors and business interests are returning in record numbers to a city that is ready to receive them, thanks in part to the work of the HBA and our partnerships. This year we completed several critical milestones. Next slide. Perhaps the most significant accomplishment for the organization, the HBA completed a 6-month research effort to create our very first market economic analysis of Hoboken. We are on this one. Yep. I pulled a few key numbers from that analysis on this screen here. Interestingly, 47% of our daily customers are Hoboken residents, students, or employees, while 53% of our daily customers come from the surrounding region. The Hoboken median income is $168,000, with 40% of households making over $200,000. By comparison, the regional median household income is $75,000, a clear indicator that our businesses need to support a diverse market. We have competition in 11.2 million square feet of regional retail. These are nearby downtowns and shopping centers and does not take into account nearby New York City. We have 1.65 million square feet in local retail, 26% of which is currently devoted to food and beverage, a major draw for daily tourism. We have 2.69 million square feet of office space and 621,000 square feet of industrial space. Next slide, please. Data from the market economic analysis informs our 5-year strategic plan, a first of its kind for our organization, and together these will shape tonight's presentation. Over the next 5 years, the HBA will seek to accomplish 17 recommendations, shown here, across 5 guiding principles that are dedicated to improving our organization's efficiency, value proposition, and effectiveness in supporting our commercial districts and world-class built environment. To support and be accountable to this plan, next slide, the HBA has also launched a 22-person community advisory board composed of local civic, business, residential, and cultural leaders to guide the HBA's investments and implementation of the strategic plan. Next slide. Now I'm just going to take you through some of our highlights from our fiscal year. In our sanitation and cleanliness bucket, which includes our city bin program, our clean team, our graffiti and sticker removal, bags and street litter collected, we have 28,000 of those this year. It's the highest we've ever collected, diverting litter from being on the ground and into bags that are keeping it off of our streets. This includes power washing. We had almost 70,000 pet waste bags were provided to the city. And this also includes our rodent abatement program, where we serve 192 catch basins throughout the central business district. We also provide a survey where we do CO2 treatments in any boroughs that we find. And that survey has actually only yielded 2 treatments since we began that service in October. Next slide, please. In our beautification and greenery program, we continue to maintain 235 planters citywide, 97 hanging baskets along Washington Street. Our team has repainted 197 public amenities in the last year, and we provided 6 placemaking and art installations. 4 of these were holiday placemaking decor, and 2 of these were the recent electric dandelions installations at Pier A and Monroe Center Plaza, which brought 16,000 visitors into Hoboken over a 3-month period. Next slide, please. Our community and economic development program line measures and tracks data across a number of different metrics. I'm excited to tell you that visitorship is up. Over 3 years, we are seeing over 30% more visits. 34% of those visits are staying over 2.5 hours, indicating that folks are coming into town, they're grabbing lunch, they're grabbing dinner, they are enjoying our public spaces, and they are shopping at our local businesses. A total of 2.9 million visitors, a record number in the last 3 years, visited 20 million times. Our market health is also showing signs of growth. Rents are up for both the market unit rent, these retail square footage, and the office market rent. We saw 35,000 retail square feet leased in the last year, and 130,000 more office space was leased than it was vacated, a great indicator for the office market that is continuing to recover following COVID. The HBA directly supported or produced 35 events, at least 3 in every single ward, with a record of 30,000 attendees. We endeavor to include as many Hoboken businesses as possible in these events and featured over 150. Our business services line, which saw the inauguration of a business networking series, hosted 3 events with local businesses. We've increased our advocacy, as all of you know, as we've had several conversations around zoning, outdoor dining, and sanitation. And we are pleased to have partnered with the government on funding 11, hopefully a couple more, business grants following the water main break last year. Last but certainly not least, we continue to market Hoboken as a destination for new residents, for business investment, and for tourism. We have featured 145 businesses since August of last year. These are not just social media reposts. We are sending a photographer into these businesses. They are getting to know them. They are producing professional shots, and we are able to provide those shots back to the businesses as a value add for their marketing efforts. We have seen an 8% growth in our social media followers, a record 58% growth in our subscribers, and our advertising campaigns have seen 2.27 million impressions. At the bottom of this slide, I've got a couple of our favorite campaigns. We have our On the Block campaign, where we feature a local entrepreneur. On the left, on the far right, we have our Hours in Hoboken campaign, where we provide guides for 3, 6, and 12 hours in Hoboken on a theme each month. And we also, for the first time, were able to engage in a transit campaign. The electric dandelions and the car show were featured at Newark Penn Station, New York Penn Station, Journal Square, and Hoboken. And we also had a wonderful neighborhood or town profile in the New Jersey Business Magazine. Next slide, please. Now I'll go over our FY25 budget and work plan. Next slide, please. We continue to invest significantly across these program areas. We will see 47% of our budget will be invested in our public realm, 24% in economic and community development, 19% in marketing and promotions, and 10% across general and administration to support the organization. Next slide. In this fiscal year, we anticipate $1.5 million invested in our public realm services. Our work plan highlights, and you may not be able to see this, I'll call it out when I say it out loud. We intend to expand our street pole lighting for additional holiday cheer along Washington Street. We'll be repositioning our sanitation program. This is aligned with our strategic plan to reflect the district needs and focus more on the downtown. We will hope to install 2 or 3 murals, as well as a number of micro art and placemaking initiatives. We will engage in temporary art and placemaking experiences, as we have over the last 2 years. We would like to engage in a streetscape audit and standardization of some of our street furniture throughout Hoboken. And we will continue our rodent abatement program while seeking to RFP our major services out this fall. Next slide. In community economic development, we anticipate a $761,000 investment. We look forward to partnering with you on much of this portfolio for zoning and regulatory reform and advocacy, for business opening process research and reform to make it easier to understand what it means to open and operate a business here in Hoboken, to provide business technical assistance and support, to provide and continue to provide business networking and training. And we are also launching a new event strategy this year where we hope to provide grant funding to inaugurate and sort of seed new and unique events across the city. Next slide, please. In marketing and promotions, we have a few housekeeping items we'll be tackling this year with that $594,000 budget, including refreshing some old logos on banners and doing some redesigns to spruce things up. We will continue to conduct our annual opinion survey. We look forward to launching and maintaining a CRM system, which is a customer relationship management system. This will allow us to better contact and communicate with our 1,299 properties and our growing list of businesses and entrepreneurs in Hoboken. We are also hoping to launch and publish economic development indicators that can be used by this body as well as the public to make informed decisions on policy as well as business decisions. We will continue to focus our ads on visitors and entrepreneurs in the regional trade area to bring additional investment into our city. We are really excited about launching a local restaurant week. We've heard from a lot of folks that that's been much desired and much needed, so stay tuned. We're going to hopefully explore some wayfinding and branding campaigns to disperse visitors throughout our fair city, and we will be designing and delivering on a major Hoboken marketing campaign across all platforms in the fall and spring. Second last slide, penultimate slide. In our general and administrative budget, this is the funding that supports the operations of the entire organization. This also is a lot of kind of my exciting to-do list. I look forward to designing and publishing an annual report, kind of like the one that should be on all the screens tonight. Unfortunately, I'll send it via email, but we want to provide data that tracks key indicators to all of you and to our friends in the public. We're looking forward to growing, building, and maintaining new relationships with the real estate industry, major office tenants, and the business services ecosystem. I am proud and pleased to say that we're working on an exciting partnership with the Hudson County Chamber. We look forward to elevating Hoboken through policy and thought leadership, and we are really pleased to partner with our Community Advisory Board to track and report our strategic plan implementation through our Community Advisory Board. Last slide. You saw this last year. The thing that is updated primarily is that we have expanded to ensure that we have events in every single ward of Hoboken, but this is a chart of our services by those 8 sub-districts. 4 of the sub-districts shaded in gray are mostly our central business district or formal business districts, while the ones that are not shaded in gray represent the emerging markets in our north waterfront, Gateway South and Gateway North, as well as that concentrated kind of residential serving area, the hybrid. Last slide. Questions?
Great job.
Thanks. Council members, any questions?
Yeah, I have one. None of these work, or do I have to talk to you?
No, just talk.
All right.
Big boy voice.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a quick question. I've noticed in your presentation, you had mentioned several times a lot of functions that I would think the city should be responsible for. So rodent mitigation, cleaning the streets, stuff of that nature. I would think the Business Alliance, I mean, my understanding when you guys first started before you have arrived, it was more business-friendly type of things. I would think events, planning, maybe lights up and stuff like that, but the actual stuff a city should be taking care of, it seems like you're I don't want to say mandate, but you guys have taken over some things on, for example, Washington Street or where the businesses are. Is that by design, or is it because there's holes that the city has left and you're trying to fill them, or is it we're trying to work together with the city because they don't have the funding to do it? What, can you expand that a little bit for me?
So our services are supplemental. They are above and beyond what the city provides. In particular, let's talk about cleanliness. Our team, they're sweeping the sidewalks, which a business or property owner would be required to do. The city isn't sweeping sidewalks. They're emptying trash cans, and I'll let them speak to their portfolio, but they're not out there. It's the business that would otherwise be responsible for that. Same thing with rodent abatement. It's a business's responsibility to address their tree pit unless the ordinance changes. And so we survey and treat those because we know that the power of kind of the collective action, we can take action across the whole city, whereas an individual business can only handle what's right in front of them, and they may or may not. So we combine our resources for that larger benefit.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Council President,
Are you done?
I'm not.
Yes.
So to that point, the residents who are paying into this in the third ward, are we sweeping their streets? Are we treating their tree pits for rodent?
So our services are aligned with how much we also charge within a district. So every property is going to be paying $1 to $6 a day on average, depending on where they are and the type of property that they have. Your small landlords within your district are on average paying about 53 cents per day. And in exchange, what we're providing are a number of events, and we do doggy waste bag stations in the third ward that are beneficial to the residents and also to the streetscape.
So because they pay less into it, we're not affording them the same opportunities everywhere else in the city?
The bid statute actually requires that the benefits are proportionate to the assessment.
That's not what I asked. I asked that we're not affording them the same opportunity. I didn't say the same amount. I said the same opportunity. So if you're sweeping the streets in front of a business on Washington Street 4 times a week, does that mean the homeowner in the third ward gets their property swept once a week?
We are not sweeping properties in front of spaces that are not along 1st, 14th, Washington in the downtown.
Okay.
We will remove graffiti. If anybody has an issue with graffiti on their property that pays into the assessment, and frankly, we'll do it citywide. We're happy to show up and send our team to remove graffiti. We're happy to show up and send our team to remove stickers. If there are issues in front of a property with something that needs to be repaired, we're happy to take a look and paint it. Like, those maintenance services are citywide, but the physical act of a human being walking down the street, that needs to be done in a linear footage way. And so the board has made the decision that those services are concentrated on 1st, 14th, Washington, and the downtown.
What about the rodent mitigation?
Rodent mitigation is 192 catch basins on 1st, 14th, Washington Street, and the downtown.
So that same area. So that excludes pretty much everything in the third ward for both of those services.
The primary rodent abatement that we do offer in the third ward actually is we do have a recent city bin installation.
So I have 1 city bin installation in the third ward. Good to know. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Any other council members?
Yes.
Just one comment. I want to thank you for the presentation. There's a number of trustees that are here. I want to thank them for their service, for their hard work. I spent 2 years as a trustee, and I think that it doesn't get done without the work of the volunteers who give their time and talents to the organization and to the leadership. So I just want to thank you for the hard work from the city. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Councilman?
Yeah, thank you. One thing that, as a new member of the board this year, that we are actively working on for the future to try and supplement costs going further is generating revenue through events, where we could lower the fee for residents that are paying into the fee through having events that are revenue generating that could supplant the budget going forward. So that's one thing that we are actively working on that we do want to see, as well as zoning recommendations as well, going through our zoning book to try to make it easier for businesses to open throughout the city. I think we saw an example of that at our last council meeting with regards to restaurant spaces and below and basement spaces, I guess, or cellar spaces. So we are working in those areas actively to try and make sure our businesses are aligned properly with the zoning code, making it easier for them, and as well as generating revenue through various events throughout the city. Those are 2 goals that we are trying to accomplish for next year as well, so that we get mitigated for future budgets, hopefully.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your partnership. Thank you for your partnership.
Well, thank you.
Thank you again for the presentation. Very much appreciated.
It was a pleasure.
Are we doing another pizza? No. Are we doing something else?
Yeah, Corporation Counsel, because we're recording, can we have the public hearing on Mama Johnson?
Yes.
Excellent. So next will be a public hearing to discuss plans for improvements at Mama Johnson Field.
He's just writing. Okay. Apologies for certainly all of the AV issues, but for bearing with us, Freedom. So, Council, it's our pleasure this evening to present the Mama Johnson Field Improvements Project. It has been I understand it's been announced to the public already, but we wanted to come to you this evening through the formal Parks public hearing process to discuss the potential change in use that would add a press box to Mama Johnson. With us this evening is Kalyani Bhatt from Clark Eaton-Hinds, who's our architect on the project. She'll be leading the presentation, and any questions that you may have will be addressed as they arise. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair Gonzalez. I am Kalyani Bhatt, coming from Clark Eaton-Hinds and the architects. So Mama Johnson Field is located at 4th and Jackson Streets. It's adjacent to the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken properties. Harrison Gardens to the south and Andrew Jackson Gardens to the west. Construction for the proposed project will take place at 3 locations. The first being the Housing Authority Mail Building, which serves in Jackson Gardens and is home to the Hoboken Public Library Annex. An existing mail and storage room will be altered to create restrooms. Housing Authority Director Recco has been involved in the planning for the project, and we hope is in full right the right way. Secondly, additional satellite mailboxes are proposed to be installed at the existing satellite station. These will shoot for the mailboxes that are relocated as part of the reconfiguration of the interior space. And the third location is the grassy area behind Holmes Lady, which is the proposed location for the press. There are also several proposed modifications to existing fencing around the field. Construction at the proposed locations does not affect the playing fields directly. The existing conditions of the field. Mama Johnson Field is the home for many sports, including softball, tackle and flag football, and adult sports leagues. Over the years, various user groups have made requests for restrooms and sinks to be installed at Mama Johnson Field. Currently, porta potties are the only available facilities for athletes, coaches, and fans. Other playing fields and parks throughout Hoboken have facilities with running water. The Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken Mail Building was chosen as a location for the restrooms because this building already has water and electric service to the building. It's above the floodplain, which is essential for anything in Hoboken, and it's also accessible by rain. The press box that we're proposing addresses the issue that currently when a sports game is taking place, there's a scorekeeper sitting on the sidelines at a folding table, and the scoreboard control is housed within one of the dugouts. Obviously not ideal to have one of the teams in possession of the score controls. Unless it's your team. Well, no comment. So to put the controls inside a neutral space in the press box, it's ideal for any sport. And the proposed design for the restrooms and press box would bring Mama Johnson Field up to the standards of Hoboken's other playing fields. The proposed plan is for 2 restrooms to be inserted into the existing mail building that will meet current code requirements for accessibility. By reconfiguring the interior space, we can fit 2 restrooms. Existing rear-loading mailboxes will be replaced with front-loading mailboxes, and those affected units where doors will be installed, we plan to relocate to the already existing satellite station. The mail building has exterior lights, and we will install motion sensor lights at the interior to keep everything as well lit as possible for public safety. Both men's and women's rooms have changing stations, as well as stainless steel fixtures for durability. Solid plastic partitions and fiberglass reinforced panels will make it easy to maintain this space. These fiber reinforced panels, they're made to look like subway tile, but they still provide that durability and impact resistance of a fiber reinforced panel that's necessary for a high traffic, high use restroom. Exterior elevations, you can see the areas of the existing and those locations of the mailboxes that will need to be relocated, integrated where the doors and masonry infill. Moving on to the press box, we have storage underneath the press box for recreation. This lower level storage of the press box is within the floodplain, so all lighting and controls are designed to be submersible. And storage is accessed by an overhead door, which can be locked. Explain. The press box itself will be elevated 12 feet above grade, that is above the floodplain. It will have operable windows and a PTAC unit for heating and air conditioning. An accessible route is not required per code. It would be technically infeasible to create a ramp to reach that height with a limited space behind the press box. So the press box would be placed right at the corner of Jackson and 4th, and it's an opportunity to welcome people to Mama Johnson Field. And therefore we have proposed a design which includes both the Housing Authority and the City of Hoboken logos printed and mounted to the press box. There is currently a chain link fence backstop. One of the horizontal bars would need to be removed to create an unobstructed view of the field from inside the press box. And we are proposing to replace that portion of fencing with sports netting, similar to what you'd see at a professional stadium. Our ballpark estimate for the opinion of cost is $575,000 for all the proposed work, and that's using CDBG funds from the 2024 program year. Our proposed schedule is as follows. We have received zoning permits and plan review approval from the building subcode official. Restrooms and the press box will be bid together as one project to reduce overhead costs rather than bidding separately as two projects. We expect construction to take place over winter and early spring, with the restrooms ready for use for the spring 2025 sports season and the press box ready for use in summer of next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm sorry, can you just repeat your name for Mr.
Kalyani
Warren?
Bhatt.
How do you spell it?
First name Kalyani, Kalyani.
Yeah, I know.
Last name Bhatt, B as in boy, Hatt.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any members of the public signed up for the public hearing?
For that? When's construction going to start? I know the end date. When is the?
Oh, maybe we didn't have a form up there. Would any members of the public wish to speak on this public hearing? Manny?
Can you repeat that?
What is Amy winter of this year? Yeah.
December?
Yeah. Probably. Yes.
This year, right here, Council
Yes,
President.
correct.
I have just one question for the fourth ward councilman. Do the Johnson family, was they aware of this? And I mean, I wasn't aware of it either. But to inform them that, you know, the changes, whether good or bad, I just think.
I think Vinny's in charge of the softball program, so he's aware of the
And
upgrades.
Gail too, I mean.
I'm not 100% Gail knows, but Vinny's aware 100%.
Okay, well, I speak to Gail too, but I'm saying I think it's a wonderful idea for the betterment of them, and I want those kids in the housing authority also to have access to that. So that playing field, I would drive my car down there every day and sit outside. I would do it to make sure they're not climbing the gates. So many times I had to stop them from climbing the gates because they locked out the field.
The gates are open.
So that sounds like
The gates are open now.
That sounds like a great idea, but I want to see inclusion. I want to see.
The gates are open all day now.
Thank you so much.
They've been open for a year.
You have no, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Manny?
Manuel Rivera Soler. Just a quick question, Council President, if I can. I heard the presentation, part of it actually, in the Shade Tree Commission, I believe it was, for trees, which was not mentioned today, but I believe you are going to remove a tree and replace it with another tree. Is that correct? And as well, I would like to know, you, the presenter, thank you for the presentation. You mentioned that you're sending the project out to bid, meaning there is no price tag for this project at the moment, and for the maintenance of the press box and all of the equipment that's going to be underneath it. So can members of the public have information on that? And again, other than that, the compliance for accessibility for the bathrooms, obviously they're going to be ADA compliant, and will they be, I guess, marked or delineated as ADA compliance, meaning some type of a, obviously sign for the desert, but mostly the cost.
Council President and Council Chief.
It's the cost of construction?
She just said
575. 575,000, the cost of construction.
And maintenance.
Just like you got me, hear that.
Yes, we'll incorporate it in through
Yeah.
both our operating budget, and also we'll have discussions with the nation with the housing
The
authority.
575 would be by community development block grant funding.
Which they're completing the 24th. Just so that you can do that. So I appreciate it. Thank you, council members of the council. Those are the questions.
Thank you. Any other members of the public?
Motion.
Close public hearing?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Council members, any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
The press box, the $275,000, is there any way to make, and again, I don't know, because my days of around a ball field, you know, you're lucky you had speakers and a microphone. However, is there any way to make it functional, or we can do something where there's more use to this that the community can take advantage of for our youth, and not just for a press box? I mean, I know it's 8 foot by, I think 18 was what I saw. I know it's a room. However, I know that space for young teens and stuff like that to hang out in the, you know, nighttime and things like that, we're looking for spaces. Is there any way that that money could be used to give us kind of a double edge, you know, get two parts of a 2-for-1, where we still get the press box, but as well that this room can be used for the community as well for, I don't know, I'm going to say birthday parties, I'm going to say for, you know, it's raining and an event can come inside, for teaching or things like that. It's a question.
Unfortunately, it's not really the type of facility that could have multiple uses, because there'll be a lot of equipment in there that, you know, does need to be secured when it's not being used and requires supervision to operate and actually training to operate. It's also not the largest, you know, facility, because it's not the largest space. There's not a lot of room to actually build this building, and in fact, you know, we are needing to replace one tree, which any larger would really detract from the limited area that's available on 4th and Johnson. So in this particular facility, I don't believe so, but as you know, we are actively looking to expand other recreation facilities in Hoboken for that.
Okay, thank you.
Among others.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman.
I think the point in these renovations is also to create parity at this field as compared to the Little League field at Feskins, because for a long time, I think our mostly male players of the Little League have had the opportunity to have a press box and coverage and everything that comes with that, because it's a more exciting atmosphere. So this is ensuring that all of our softball players have that same level of access in terms of how they're celebrated as players. So I think it's less about the facility itself. It's more about how the children are getting to experience that field and everything that comes with it, and the conveniences that you have the Little League field. Now you'll also have it the softball field. So for me, that's, I think, the most important thing about why these renovations are important is we're creating equity for our players across both leagues.
Yep.
Yes, Councilman.
Yeah, I believe I remember the numbers on the CDGB grants, but just to confirm, this is going to be fully funded by the grants. It's not coming out of the city budget. This is federal funds that you've got in it.
The construction of the project will be fully funded by CDBG, federal dollars.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both very much. Much appreciated. Second readings, I believe.
Yeah, ordinance for, it's not. Ordinance for introduction, no, ordinance for, hearing on an ordinance amending chapter 42.
No, that's carried.
That's carried. B, 675, an ordinance amending chapter 196 zoning, section 196-27.3 building facade.
Council member? Oh, sorry. We have no members of the public signed up to speak. You're signed up? Nope.
I think that was the other one.
Yes, you are.
Unless somebody raises.
Manny, you are signed up.
Go get it, Manny.
We only have pens.
Yeah, but you just write with pencil.
You disappearing there.
Right. Now, I'll be quick. I'm going to combine two, just for the sake of argument here and for
The right time.
brevity. I just would like members of the public to understand why are you amending chapter 196 in this section? Again, I would like to know I don't know why I'm talking to you. Is this on?
No.
Well, it is recorded.
It is over here, no?
It's recorded, it's just not amplifying.
Well, anyway, I would just like to know where and why is it being amended at this point and at this time at this section, as well as, so I don't have to come up in B677, so that way, because it's going to be combined, the same question. How does it relate to the ordinance on B677 when you are now then asking a definition for chapter 196? So can you help members of the public to understand one or both so that way we could move it along? And Council President, that would be my question. And
Thank you. Do we have any other members of the public that wish to speak on this ordinance? Motion to close the public portion. Second. All in favor?
Council President?
Yes.
Two things. Number one, for both this, and I'll say it again, for 676, the planning board reviewed that and found them both to be consistent with the master plan and land use element. But Mr. Soler, the 675 and 676 are an identical change in two different places in the code, because there are definitions in the zoning code and there are definitions in the historic preservation code. And there was some ambiguity in the code, and so with regard to percentage of glass versus brick for facades and so forth. So this is, both of these are, number one, curing the ambiguity to make it clear what was intended, and which frankly, from what I understand, it's not really changing it, because we've been operating under the assumption for years that that's what it meant, but it didn't really say it properly. And then the next one is making it so it's the same thing in both places, so you don't have historic preservation with one definition of facade and the zoning code with another. So your question with regard to 675 and 677, they're two different amendments altogether. And so they're not linked, they're not similar. And that's the best I can do for you.
It's just,
Or you can, yeah, I mean.
that was good enough. That was great.
That's good. Thank you. I'm a little verklempt.
Councilman Cullen?
Yeah, so just to elaborate on what Councilman Doyle said, it wasn't just an ambiguity, there was essentially a typo. I mean, you like to think that our statutes say what they're supposed to say, but On this one, it said that fenestration, the amount of windows that you have to have on the facade, have to be 45%, which should have been 25%. So I mean, that would mean that it would be kind of like, I don't know, Holland or somewhere where it's very, very lots and lots of glass, where almost half the building has to be glass. It was immediately recognized as a problem because there were lots of trips from the zoning board where people were saying, we only had 25%, and they're like, your variance will be approved, no problem. And you only intended for it to be 25% minimum, not 45% minimum. So in practice, we've been operating the way Councilman Doyle said, that this has not been the way that they've been operating in front of the zoning board. But it's cleaning up something that should have frankly been cleaned up a while ago. So that's what's being done with respect to B675.
And 6.
And 6. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Yes?
So I have a question, and so 75, 76, 77 are all, 75 and 76 are close to each other, right? Just
They're exactly the
okay.
same, yep.
And 77 is not really attached to it, or it is, right?
It's just another amendment to the zoning code.
Another piece. Does any of these have come about or were pushed forward? We just got another piece of litigation against us from a resident, and I have a question that if there's, it cites some issues, and I don't know if these issues are due to this or that we're voting on this change or this whatever, has anything to do with that. I mean, if somebody could elaborate on that might know better than me, that sits on the zoning or planning or HPC. I would kind of look at you two because you both know. Like, I mean, you both would be more familiar with it than me.
It is similar in that there was some uncertainty as to whether the facade of a building, if I'm correct, includes only the front, and if you're on a corner, does that mean the side? You have two facades as opposed to one facade. In a traditional, more common, is the facade is only the front and you don't have a corner. So the historic preservation was dealing with this issue and they felt that there are two facades. And so this is, we had something that came up, as you may recall, last December, and it was voted down. And this is similar but light. It is less, it is not what it was last, it's not as aggressive as it was last December.
So the law or the litigation that was put before us is, so this is dealing with some of these issues, is that correct or not? I mean, maybe I have to have the council, or corporation council.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the litigation, so, but.
Corporation counsel?
The most important thing is that we're not going to discuss, or I don't recommend we discuss litigation, compare litigation into an open public session. Maybe back to after the council meeting, we discuss specifics of the litigation.
Okay, then if I can't get an answer to that, I'd like to make a motion to table these until, all three of them.
Well, is your question, are they all related?
Yeah, like Corporation Council said he can't talk about it. So until I can get that information, I'm a no vote period, but I think I'd like to have that question answered before we do it. I think it'd be smarter if the litigation brought up on Friday or was put in Friday, if it has anything to do with these, I would like to first hear about what that is before I vote on it.
I believe that the ordinance that relates to right-of-way is the one that has a potential issue. I don't believe that the definition of fenestration of 25% would have any.
No, but he's talking about 677, not 675 or 7.
No, I'm talking all of them.
But right now we're talking about 675.
Yes,
yeah.
All of them.
You're correct.
So with respect to 675, I think the answer to Councilman President's answer is no. There's no relationship between the definition of
how much windows
are permitted to be
that's not
in that litigation, as I understand what I read in the paper. You know, I mean, it just doesn't appear to be, I don't believe there's a dispute
So you want to
about
carry all three of them? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I want to find out from Corporation Counsel if what was put forward, if this has anything to do with it. I mean, whether you believe or not,
Like you say, it's nothing to do with it. The litigation was only filed on Friday, so I think these ordinances were drafted before this. It's not, it has nothing to do with litigation.
I think the concern is, it's been ongoing for some time, and I think that litigation was festering. Is this going to impact the city in a way where it makes it worse or better for us? At least, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's the
It's
way I'm
close to where I'm
understanding it.
I have no idea what, I didn't even know there was litigation, but that I don't, did you make a motion to carry the three of them being?
Second.
I mean, I'm not comfortable voting on Sling without knowing what everyone else knows. Or half the council. So Mr. Farina, call the vote on the table.
On the three of them?
Do you have a second?
Yeah, Ruben
That's a second.
Ruben second.
For just 675 now?
Correct, we can only do one.
Yeah.
On the table, Mr. Cohn,
no.
Mr. Doyle,
No, 675.
Mrs. Jabour,
No.
Mr. Presidente,
Aye.
Mr. Quintero,
No.
Mr. Ramos,
Aye.
Mr. Russo,
Aye.
President Giantino.
Yes.
The table fails.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to make a motion to carry this. We don't have to, because tabling would remove it. I'm the sponsor. I think we should just carry it to the next meeting at this point.
Do you want to just carry the three of them, which you can just do?
Yeah.
You have the right to do that as a
Let's
sponsor.
carry them to the next meeting.
Great, thank you.
All right.
You know, yeah, don't
So we're
need
going to carry 675, 676, 677?
Yeah, thank you.
678. Hearing on an ordinance amending Hoboken City Code, Chapter 136, nuisances at 136-8, violations and penalties to set graduated scale of penalties.
This is actually going back to first reading because it was
Amended again.
amended, and it's being amended again from 65. I don't have any access to a sheet of paper, but going from 65, the fine going from 65 to 80 because other people had concerns about that other $15.
679.
So in first.
It's also carried.
No, so, I mean, we can vote on it now for 670. For 670.
As first reading, though.
Yes, 678 as first reading, but with the amendment,
The amendment is going from 65 to 80 or down?
no,
65 to 80.
there was nothing
Per hour or total?
per hour.
Per hour.
675 per hour.
No, 80.
80.
$80 from 65. And Rose, did you want to speak on this?
When this goes into effect, people who already had fines, you go back to step one?
Yes.
Okay, but they did that. So we're all in a clean slate. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, am I on the wrong,
Yeah, I think you were talking about.
I'm on the wrong ordinance. Thank you for that.
Permit fees, right?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Garbage, it will be a clean slate.
Yes.
So there is no amendment to 678.
Copy
It
of
is, whoa, it is,
This one's done. It's the other one.
yes, B678 is, it's funny I wrote OEP. No, wait, I think someone signed up to speak on it.
684.
Besides Rose, no? All right. Council members?
Call vote.
Mr. Farina, call the vote.
First reading.
No, this is second.
This is second reading. The P684 is amended to reflect what the council president just said. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is 678, correct?
Correct.
Sorry.
All right, did you want to make a
We're all
motion
sorry.
to close the hearing?
Motion to close.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, motion to close hearing.
Second.
Call the vote. Aye. Call the vote, Mr. Farina.
Mr. Cohen? Aye. Mr. Doyle?
No.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Mr. President Zano?
Yes.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos? Aye. Mr. Russo?
Aye.
President Giantino?
Yes. B679.
679, hearing on the bond ordinance. Carried. It's carried, okay.
680.
680, hearing on an ordinance amending the Hoboken City Code, section 192-1, restricted accessible parking zones in front of near residents for persons with disabilities to amend application process.
Manny?
I guess it doesn't.
Yeah.
Manuel Rivera Soto, Council President. A little confused there in a couple of those ordinances. I didn't mean to cause a commotion in B675, 76, 77, but we'll get back to those at a later date. B680, can you help members of the public understand when you say you're amending the application process, in what section is that being changed? Is it still going to be the definition that you have on the ordinance? And can members of the public understand it's not just persons who have missing limbs or any type of amputation, stuff like this, but it is also persons with other disabilities. Can you specify it and make sure that that's clear in the language? And how less streamlined, or how much streamlined rather, is the process going to be, so that members of the public understand that you have taken great concern in this ordinance, being that a lot of it has been struck through. Is that language, I guess, not necessarily being simplified in the process? That is the question, if you followed. Did you follow?
Yes, she followed.
Okay, no, all right. Just want to make sure because I still got time. But thank you, Council President. That is the question. Just how is it being, the process being simplified for members of the public and the definition of person with a disability? Thank you.
Thank you. We have no other members of the public signed up to speak. Motion to close public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Council President?
Yes.
So to address the question from a member of the public, this is actually not touching the definition at all. The amendments that are being made relate to the process in terms of how applications are reviewed, and is moving away from the concept of a subcommittee, and instead will provide all medical documentation and application information to an independent medical reviewer. So that person will now be making a determination.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And also, Director Gonzalez, maybe?
Sharp.
Oh, Director Sharp, sorry. Are you here? No. It's my understanding that it's not loss of a limb, it's loss of use. You don't have use of a limb.
That's my understanding. Yeah,
Okay,
in
so-
section B, I can read you the definition.
No, that's good.
That's not what this is doing anyway.
No, it doesn't amend that section, but yeah.
But
Trying to answer the question.
that is the meaning of it. It's not that you have,
You don't have full function of a limb.
right, you just don't have full use of that limb.
Council President, just a quick question. How are we funding that?
Person?
Yeah.
The independent medical review process will be funded through the application fees, plus anything above that will be covered by HPU.
Do we have any indication as to how much each review is going to cost the city of Hoboken?
It will vary on the basis of the amount of documents provided by the applicant.
I have a concern with that. That could get costly quick.
I think that's better than the harassment that members of the subcommittee have faced as a result of applicants who are disgruntled.
Again, that's fine, but I think there might be a different way. I think maybe if we're going to spend money on it, I think we should spend money to hire a professional at a set rate rather than doing something on a per case basis. That's going to get really expensive really quick. Just my opinion on that.
Yes, Councilman.
Councilman Russo, I think we were, somebody graced us enough with 2 meetings that caught us up, and if you can correct me, it's caught us up on a big backlog. And we were lucky, we researched, and I think before I got into council, I spoke with Councilwoman Jabor, and she's like, do you have any suggestions? And I made a few phone calls. We got a couple no's. We finally found someone. The individual got on. The individual was like, realized there was a little bit more of a workload because we were catching up. That committee seems hot anyway. However, I think going forward, we did get through a lot, correct me if I'm wrong. We're down to like, it's single digits of things. So I don't think it's like, if we would have done this, I think maybe 3 months ago, it may have been like 25. But now I think we're down, and again, I haven't seen, I'm not on the committee, I'm just thinking that it's only a couple here and there now, that it's
And the
not.
practitioner who helped was able to dispense with these pretty quickly. I don't think this is that heavy of a lift.
So again, the biggest concern is why people wouldn't do it. We had, we had gone to CarePoint and asked them if we had some doctors who are becoming interns, if they would do it. Everybody just shied away. You would think somebody would want to help, but again, because of the liability and because of, believe it or not, the reviews that doctors would get on their private pages of Yelp. I don't know I don't review my doctor, but they're concerned about stuff like that, or people coming to their office. So it's a really tough, a really difficult situation for any of us when we got the volunteers. So the only way to go forward would be to look at a paid way. However, it's not as if we're doing 25 at a clip of these things.
Yeah, that's not my concern. So my concern is if the application fee is
25, I think,
$130, whatever it is right now, that 130 goes real quick, right? So if that becomes an extensive case, because as the council president said, it's not someone who lost a limb, it's someone who is unable to perform within a certain distance. That could manifest itself in many different ways, because there are members of the public who have COPD that can't walk 10 steps and have nothing wrong with their limbs. Right? So there's that process is a lot, and I sat on that committee and I did it. I did it myself. I reviewed medical charts. I did all that. So I know that could get very hairy at some time, but I just think the cost associated with that could be problematic. Just my
So you're saying lock something?
Find somebody who's going to say, all right, I'll do it for the $125 flat fee. I don't have a problem with it.
One page or 50 pages.
It's a flat fee per review, whether it's one page of medical documents or it's a whole file of medical documents.
So you're not against it?
I'm not against it at all. Actually, I think it's a good idea.
But it's just
my concern is the cost.
I think HPU will be able to.
Councilwoman Jaworski, is this something maybe we could?
I'm looking right at Director Sharp. I think that there's a way to handle this that
You
HPU
were
can
here.
provide.
Okay.
I asked if you were here and they said no.
No, he came in. Yeah.
Do you want to come up for a minute? Thank you. And I mean a minute. Do you foresee this being like a great expense to the city? Do you have any idea what the cost would be?
To the applicant.
Well, the applicant's going to be, we didn't change the fee, so.
I mean, right now it's $130 for the application fee. That $130 gets refunded if the application gets denied, right? So I think as long as it's written in a way where the onus is on the applicant, if they need to provide additional documentation or they need to see a follow-up, those costs have to be borne by the applicant so that the costs are predictable and don't become a runaway issue that would be problematic. I think that's kind of what we're talking about.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
So I think as long as the application fee remains in that 130 range, somewhere in that territory, and the costs beyond that are clearly the responsibility of the applicants, then I think that the amount that we would
when
be.
you say the cost beyond that is the responsibility of the applicant.
So the burden of proof is on the applicant, right? So if you're submitting an application for this process, you're demonstrating that you meet the criteria in the ordinance that would qualify for a reserved ADA space, right? So you may file an initial application and maybe it gets denied, right?
Or
there could be an appeal. Okay, go ahead.
Or one of the things that we've run into a whole bunch of times is you go through the application and it's incomplete.
Right.
And it's missing documentation.
But that would be processed
Missing a driver's
administratively.
license, so missing a number of things. Is that going to be adding on to the reviewer.
So we defined actually in the amendment that the process will start with HPU ensuring the full integrity of the application before
Right.
it's
So I think there's like a
provided to the
compliance
LLC.
review, if you think almost like planning board, right?
That was a pain.
There's some level of compliance review, and then beyond that, there's a technical review by the medical professional that is, giving their professional opinion. And, ideally, if you can reduce the load that they're reviewing, maybe that reduces the cost.
And that's what
you
creates
call
the
it a pilot
backlog.
program.
Correct.
That is what created the backlog, sending them back. And then, so you had like 4 applicants that maybe completed, but then you sent like 12 back. And then it's adds and adds and adds to it.
Yeah, but what I think everybody's missing here, or at least maybe I didn't articulate it well enough, is if you have an applicant and they submit their application, they submit their $130. That gets reviewed by a professional, independent professional. Let's just call it an even wash, and they're charging us $130 for that review. If it gets denied, the city of Hoboken picks up the cost of that. The applicant does not. They get their $130 back. In the sense that there's other reviews that have to happen, the director now is standing there saying that is going to be borne by the applicant themselves. So it's not going to be $130 to the applicant. It's going to be $130 plus any additional cost that their application may warrant. So all I'm saying to everyone is this changes the entire premise of how we have done this. If that's what we're okay doing, that's fine. But don't tell the applicant it's only $130, because that's not true. Because if that goes beyond the $130 cost, we're saying now the applicant is going to pick up that cost. And I can tell you, to review something that is more than a few pages, I most certainly would charge more than $130. And a medical professional who is a seasoned professional may have a very high hourly rate. So I just caution everybody.
So you need the flat fee.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I just want everybody to understand that it's going to change the cost and what's going to happen when that happens. The first applicant that comes back and says, why did it cost me $450 for my application? And then I got denied anyway. Right?
But if they get denied, they get their money back, right?
Correct.
Then we pick up the $450 cost for those applications as a city. Listen, again, if everybody's okay with it, that's fine. I just want to make sure everybody understands that this fundamentally changes how we're going to do this and what the cost is going to be associated with it. My 2 cents.
I just think we give it a shot, and if it turns out that, we're spending boatloads of money on this out of the city coffer, then we'll figure out.
How many a year? I mean, that's the first question. How many a year are there usually?
We talked about it. I mean, when the committee came back together, it was 12 applications that were on the balance?
It's probably in that 25 or less per year. So I think if we brand it as a pilot program and it's
It doesn't
tested.
even have to be branded as a pilot program. Let's
Not
just try
branded,
it.
it is a pilot program, that's what I'm trying to say. It's something that is codified by ordinance. We see how it goes, we collect the data, and
Everything can be changed always.
we can change it.
Thank you.
Just one comment. I mean, we've heard numerous. We've heard numerous people complain about the process with respect to handicap parking spots. This is going to professionalize that process. The point of this here is that we do not want to be subject to criticism for arbitrarily denying people. So I think the goal here is a good one. It's an important one. Right. And I think we should give it a shot, see how it goes, because none of us want to be confronted with people who claim that for improper reasons they didn't get their spot. So this will protect us, and I think it's a good idea. So anyway.
Thank you, Director. Thank you. Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Excuse me, Mr. Cullen?
Aye.
Mr. Doyle?
Aye. Aye.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Mr. Presidano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
No.
President Giantino?
Yes.
Hearing on an ordinance amending Chapter 190-11 entitled Loading Zones designated to extend the length and effective hours for the loading zone on Washington Street between North Street and First Street.
We have no members of the public signed up to speak. Motion to close public portion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Council members? Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Mr. Cohen?
Aye.
Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mr. Jabour?
Yes.
President Zano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
President Giantino?
Yes.
Just a comment on loading zones in general, not this loading zone. So this is on Washington Street, this area here, obviously right in front of us.
681.
How are we, and Director Sharp, you can try and help us out here for 2 seconds. I'm sorry, guy, I wanted to ask. How are we managing the loading zones with all the e-bikes parking in the loading zone spots throughout Washington Street when they're supposed to be for deliveries? How are we managing that?
So
or it is like the truck goes in, they just pull out because it's like the Wild West up there.
From the perspective of transportation and parking, or the parking utility,
both. Like how
we can't issue a ticket to those devices because they don't have a license plate. Effectively, they're not registered
I get it.
vehicles.
But I have a delivery at Ace Hardware. There's a loading zone in front of there.
Yep.
There's 10 bikes parked there waiting for deliveries. Maybe President Zano's waiting one of the spots there. And they're waiting for their deliveries, and the truck wants to pull into Ace Hardware to drop their goods off. Like, how's that happening? Are they just like the truck's going in there, people are moving, or are they beeping? Is it becoming an issue? Because the loading zones
They do beep. They do beep, but they tend to just double park and say screw it, and they park. And they double park.
We have to work on that.
If a truck can't fit, then it's not going to go in there. So.
How do we get them to move?
Well, I think we have to mandate where they can go.
Yes, that's exactly what needs to be done.
Police station. I said it once, I say it again.
It's funny how you say. There's other issues that I think Director Sharp is
Well, they may actually be loading and unloading if they're picking up food.
9 times out of 10, no. You pull up to the restaurant usually. You're parking there.
Well,
You're literally parking.
Restaurant right there.
No, I've never seen.
That was my question, so obviously, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next ordinance.
You missed 681, by the way. I think.
No, we just voted on it.
No, we're on 682. We're on the.
You voted on it.
Ordinance to
You were
amend
thinking about your next
chapter
delivery.
190-11 entitled, oh, we did that. 683.
No, we didn't vote on it yet.
Oh, we didn't?
We didn't vote on 682.
Yeah, we did.
He read 682.
We didn't vote.
All right, we definitely voted on it. No, it's on tape.
Yeah, you did.
I think we voted on 681.
Too.
Yeah. Didn't we vote on it? Yeah. We did. And then Ruben said, I want to ask a question. We voted on it.
voted on it, yeah.
We definitely voted
So
on
then.
it. We're on 683.
Then we missed 681. He read, I think, the wrong title.
Yeah.
Because we only voted on one thing.
No,
so-
we did miss 681.
We missed something.
That's what happened.
That's what it is.
Nanny caught it.
681. We skipped that one. You want me to read it?
He voted no on 680.
6, a hearing on an ordinance amending chapter 192 entitled Parking for Persons with
So we only have
Disabilities
voted on one thing.
to
since
relocate general space
But I
on
think Jimmy
6th
read
Street.
wrong ones.
We have no members of the public signed up to
Motion.
speak. Motion to
Second.
close public portion. All in favor? Aye. Council members? Mr. Farina, call the vote on B 681.
Mr. Cohen?
Aye.
Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Mr. President
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos? Mr. Russo?
Aye.
President Giantino?
Yes. B 683.
683, hearing on an ordinance amending chapter 190-6 entitled No Stopping or Standing to add stopping or standing zone on 7th Street.
We have no members of the public signed up to speak. Motion to close public portion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Council members? Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Mr. Cohen?
Aye.
Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mr. Jabour?
Yes.
President Zano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
President Giantino?
Yes.
Hearing on an ordinance of the City of Hoboken, Section 58-23, to remove permit fees for nonprofit organizations.
This is the OET amendment. It's going back to first reading, and it is changing from $65 to $80. it's changing what was amended. Yes. Correct. We have no members. Oh, we do. Yeah.
Sorry, there was just one suggestion. In the union contracts, we're contractually obligated to have that $5 go to the PBA. So that is money the city would have to pick up regardless. So if you wanted to keep it, make it 70 instead of 65, that would make it essentially neutral. No loss of dollars from the city.
It's fine. It's, I mean,
No, I understand.
he's saying we could cut it back 10.
80 was, the city will, that's money the city pays for administrative fees, we'll agree to waive that for nonprofits. There is an administrative piece from the PBA.
That's great. $70.
Thank you.
65 to 70. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We have no members of the public. Did we already do that? Council members?
Motion to close.
No. Did we already close the public portion? We have no members of the public signed up to speak. Motion to close public portion. All in favor? Aye. Council members? Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Mr. Cohen? No. Mr. Doyle?
No.
Mrs. Jabour?
No.
Mr. Prezzano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
President Giantino?
Yes.
We did the public portion.
This is,
We're up to the consent agenda.
yeah, so public portion on agenda items. Do you want that?
I think.
Rose Markle?
Okay. Councilwoman Jabour? How did
Emily.
you vote on the last one?
I was a no.
I think there were 3 names, that's what I'm,
Correct. 431.
but I'm looking at the tally, and it's only 2.
Emily voted no, and then also Phil voted
Just for the record.
The tree trust.
A1 is carried. Yes. Oh, it's working? Oh, yes. Thank you.
Can we bring the mic level down?
Can you put the mic down for Rose? Thank you.
Thank you.
So A1 is carried.
A1, the
Okay.
mural is being carried.
All right, thank you. So then I'd like to speak on A3,
Yes.
Business Alliance. It's a lovely presentation.
You are.
But of course, I'm a 4C apartment owner that pays it, and I'd like to go over some discrepancies on that. It said that the salaries only went up 10%, but it's a $108,000 increase according to the budget, so that's really a 20% increase. And I'm not really sure how many employees that is for $637,000. It's an awful lot of money. It's either 3 or 4. I've opened that. I have not received that. I was told I was not entitled to it. Let's see. There's lots of things that the taxpayers don't know. You know, the board meetings are sporadic. You have to be a part of Eventbrite to get to them. They're at an hour that nobody can really go to. We have $50,000 in rent paid to a board member. Must be nice to have to pay this tax and make some cash on the side. They're looking for office storage space for $21,000. Can't they house that at the city garage and maybe save this business line some money? It's supposed to be a supplemental to the city services, but in reality, the Business Alliance has taken over all holiday decorations, and that's not supplemental, that's taking over, and that's, according to your ordinance, that's a no-no. It seems that we do a lot of duplicate services. We have the Cultural Affairs and the Art Committee seems to be doing the same things that the HBA is doing. Let's see, what else? Board members, there's 15 board members. Ooh, that's an awful lot. I own a 4C building which is classified as an apartment building, and it was clearly stated that I will never get any services from this. So I'm asking you, there are 1,300 buildings that pay this tax, a quarter of them are 4C properties. We'll never get any services or benefits. According to the state, we should get a direct benefit, but because they gave us a little bit to pay, we won't be receiving anything. I'm asking you to remove us from this, and then you never hear from me again. because I don't care what they do with this money. Right now, I'm paying for this, and I'd like to thank you, Ruben. I'm sure you had a part of this, that this year it has been alleviated somewhat, and we haven't gotten an increase. But what's going to happen in the next couple of years? You know, you took it back, but they're going to need more money. They're supposed to be starting self-funding, but that hasn't been done either. Most of this is being done on Washington Street, First Street, 14th Street, where all of the businesses are, and yes, rightfully so. And if you don't want to remove the 4 Cs and everybody's benefiting the same way that I am, then maybe everyone in Hoboken should pay this tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Manny Rivera? Give me 1 second.
Well, I guess I lost a council member, but I will continue. Council.
We know who she is.
Yes, she'll read the transcript. Council Vice President, I just want to, Manuel Rivera Soler, I just want to ask questions on a few things. I don't mean it to be the Manuel Rivera Soler asking questions to the council hour sometimes, but it just happens that way. It's just coincidence that I ask a few more questions than other people, but I believe that all the questions are important. And as we can see this evening, there was a healthy discussion amongst yourselves, which was nice to see. And I want to thank you for the ordinance B680. Here on the consent agenda, I just have a few questions on, again, as the prior member of the public spoke on A3. My question is here, if you're going to accept the budget, again, there were many questions made in regards to the Business Alliance, but my personal question, and I guess members of the public would like to know, why is that board of so robust? And how can members of the public who are interested in being part of that board can apply for it? Is that different than when we apply for a board in the city? Does that have to go through theirs, a separate issuance of membership there? That's a question that if somebody could answer, that would be great. Then I'm going to be brief because, again, in climate action change, CA1, it's important to understand that resolution. Again, on CA9, that amount of $19,000, $19,100, is that a standard amount, or would it be better understood because it says design and drawings? Again, it is funded, but members of the public would like to know, why do we not tighten up sometimes when we have to issue these contracts? I know that we personally can't put a price on somebody else's work, but we can at least bid it out for the more competitive bid there. And again, Corporation Council, just CC1, again, that amount is getting pretty high for the special counsel. You keep adding. It's just a question. I know that, again, it is funded, but when is a resolution going to occur? Then finally here, I'm going to say in finance, F1. Can members of the public and I guess everyone in the city understand? I tried to read this, but I'm not sure if I follow the 21. Is this a bond? Do we already have this bond? Is this to decide how we're going to process the bond?
Like refinancing.
Refinancing this bond. But we already are on the line for that bond. All right, that is it. And I would also like to say I appreciate all of the grants that are being applied for and all of those that we are receiving. Again, as a member of the public, I appreciate it, and thank you very much, Council Vice President, President Pro Tem, for listening, and thank you all. Have a good evening. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera Solar.
Who's next?
Motion to close?
No, Patricia Wader.
I'm sorry, they pulled this thing with the Hoboken thing, right? They pulled it?
Yeah. We carried it.
The trestle? Haney?
Haney would like to be added.
He's on.
You're on, Haney Med.
Haney Ahmed, Hoboken. Talking on CA1. On a whole, obviously, anytime you could earmark money for another park, that's a good thing for Hoboken. And it's something we would normally celebrate. But over the past 12 months, to get to these parks is getting harder and harder. I have two small girls, one in a stroller, one's just turned 6 last week. And the anxiety you get walking there is changed a lot. We have council members with older children now that may not have to deal with that, and we have some with younger children. And I can't tell you the fear that you get when you see an e-bike going 25 miles an hour on a sidewalk. Just disregard it. So while we spend tens of millions of dollars on these parks, and we want to, be proud of that, what good are they if you can't get to them safely? We earmark 1% of all bonds for artwork. What good is it if you can't get to the park to enjoy them? There should be an earmark for public safety to address this issue. Councilman Paul Pizzano fought vigorously over the rat problem when the city council realized there was a real problem. So money came from the city council, money came from the HBA, and there was an effort together to reduce that. And I can tell you just by walking on the street, you've done a great job. There's less rats out there. But a rat wasn't going to kill us. And these e-bikes can. And it doesn't take much. The concentration south of 4th Street, I understand most people on this, except for Paul here, Councilman Pizzano, don't live downtown. So you don't see it 7 days a week. While you order that smoothie and you think there's no harm in it, the speed and the illegal actions to get you that is the problem. Whether you're sitting in the park enjoying it or you're just ordering it from the luxury of your couch. So while you spend all this money, and look, I know every one of you deep down inside hate this problem. There's no reason for you. Councilman Doyle, yeah, I've watched you bike for years. Legally, in the bike lane, pedaling at speeds. I've never had a fear of you mowing me down, even when I spoke against you at a council meeting. But when it comes to the e-bikes, I think you all could agree, on your sidewalks, they're not safe. Near your parks, they're not safe. So I applaud Councilman Fisher for bringing this up, and yet another park and resiliency, but how much time did you spend on this Vision Zero? And then we just disregard bikes on Vision Zero? All these bump outs so you can get these kids safely to a park and back? What good is it? This is the most critical part. This is something you never had to deal with before. And now it's here. You can't deny it. Just walk right in front of City Hall and you'll see them, waiting for the next delivery. I'm not saying I'm against them in particular of having an e-bike. I'm against the recklessness that goes on. And it's something that, it's non-negotiable. It's not something that we tolerate. It's not something that you wait for the casualty to light a candle and then we all have tears saying, what could we have done? This is what you could do right now. When you have something that costs tens of millions of dollars, put an asterisk next to it and tell them we want some of that money earmarked for public safety so that these people can get to the park. We have laws against school buses, passing them 6 points, they practically throw you in jail if you do it a second time. Because why? Because kids got hit. But now we're not protecting it a different way. You can protect them going on a school bus and off, but you can't protect them just walking the 50 feet to their house because someone needs to get a smoothie right this moment. So I really suggest I urge the entire council, this is a roll up your sleeves moment. You guys have done it before, and you've done a great job when you work together and you get things done. You got a whole list of 100 things, this isn't 99. All I'm asking you is to bump it up with this $20, $30, $40 million park, and it won't cost that much. And if the police department needs assistance, get them assistance. What we did during what happened years back, and I don't know if some of you could remember with the St. Patty's Day Parade and all this stuff, we got cops from all different municipalities to come here. Westfield, this field, that field, state police, they were all here. They were all here and they had those lights on the corner. Why? Because you had a public nuisance that the public said, we're tired of this crap and you gotta do something about it. And we're here to say it again. Crack down on this. I don't care if you confiscate bikes, do what you need to do to stop it, to reduce it. So if you want to attach it to a park bond budget, this is your time. 20 million and 21 million is not that much of a difference, but if that million goes towards reducing this and avoiding one fatality, it's worth every penny. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have no other members of the public signed up to speak. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, Council President, sorry for the lateness. I didn't intend to speak, but when Pat Waiters was talking before in support of our referendum, she asked some questions of you, and you asked a question of the attorney, and it never got answered. I know the next item on the agenda is petitions and communications related to our petition filing, and I just wanted to request and remind the council that there are some open questions about the status of the petition and the council's timeframes to respond to certain issues that came up before but weren't answered. Thank you.
Thank you. I think actually there was a response that there's 20 days starting today, or someone said that. Maybe you even
Well,
said
I gotta
it.
read the,
Yes.
you don't have the update.
Read the answers in the clerk's letter that he's going to read.
Thank you.
Well, we're on the, let me read the, this is the most recent update on the initiative petition. Dear Council, excuse me. Dear council members, please accept this notice pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-187 of the certification of the results of the city clerk review of the initiative petition relative to the city rent control ordinance. The city clerk's office hereby certifies that the petition as submitted on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 is insufficient. The petitions were advised on June 13, 2024, and currently are in the middle of the statutory 10-day cure period. I, James J. Farina, RMC, hereby certify as follows. Number one, my office reviewed the petition submitted by Ron Samasini on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, relative to the proposed ordinance amendment attached thereto. Number two, the five committee members, Anthony Soares, James Vance, Rosemary Markle, Justin Calabrese, and Nicholas Donallo submitted 2,162 number of petitions. Out of the 2,162 signatures, 818 were found to be valid pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-187. The remaining 1,344 of the petitions signed were found to be invalid signatures as they were not found to be qualified voters. The criteria would include, number one, legible name and complete address of voter registration list. Number two, resident of Hoboken who are currently on the voting rolls in Hoboken. Reason for rejection, legible, not registered or voter on the voter registration list. Number two, not legible, printed name and signature cannot be read. Number three, legible name and signature without a written address. Number four, legible name and signature but not complete address. Number five, a resident of Hoboken. Pursuant to the voting records provided by the Hudson County Superintendent of Elections, the five committee members, Anthony Soares, James Vance, Rosemary Markle, Justin Calabrese, Nicholas Donallo, required 894 signatures to meet the 10% threshold and 1,340 signatures to meet the 15% threshold to move forward. Due to the fact that the five committee members, Anthony Soares, James Vance, Rosemary Markle, Justin Calabrese, and Nicholas Donallo did not meet the statutory requirements of signatures, the petitions is declared defective. The five committee members Anthony Soares, James Vance, Rosemary Markle, Justin Calabrese, Nicholas Denalo were notified of deficiency on June 7, 2024, and currently the statutory cure period, which expires June 24, 2024. And they have to, right now, we're in the process of reviewing the additional 500 new signatures that they submitted. And then they have 10 days to cure it.
So they need 76 signatures, in 10 days?
So they put 500 in.
But there were, June 7th was when the notice was provided. Is that, when did the 10 days start?
Corporation Counsel, when does the clock start ticking, the 10-day
The clock started ticking. The clerk had there were some issues in trying to determine the number of ballots cast in the last election, as well as the clerk's office performed what I'll call a recheck. So they had done a check of the initial signatures, and then they did a recheck, and they were more specific with the reasons for denial, and that actually did change the total numbers. So the clock started on June 13th, when the clerk wrote a letter indicating what the current numbers are that the clerk just read. So as the clerk indicated, the cure period stops on June 24th.
Well, why does it say in number 7 that the petitioners were notified of the deficiency on June 7th? You're saying they were notified of deficiency, but why wouldn't
They were
that
notified of the deficiency. They weren't told the reasons for the deficiency, as well as they were given the wrong total vote number.
So once all of that took effect, then you started the 10-day window, the 10-day clock.
Last Thursday.
And currently we have 500 additional signatures and
That need to be reviewed or have
200
been?
plus cured signatures. Correct?
Yes.
I remember those communications.
818
Thank you.
Where are we going?
Thank you.
Consent agenda.
Consent.
That's an important question on the status of the petition. And that's the second time I have.
What's the question?
No, they said yes. They said yes to the 500 additional signatures and the 200 and however many, 235 cured. signatures.
So I didn't hear that. Did you ask if they reviewed any of those yet?
I did not. I just know that they have.
Yeah, I asked that. They said they're in the process.
That was asked earlier as well.
Other than saying they're in the process, was there any
Scream out.
Say it again, Ron.
Other than saying they're in the process, was there any detail in the answer? Did they already know they were certified for a regular election or not?
No. Correct? No. They do not. Council members, consent agenda?
CA4.
A3,
CA10.
So, wait, A3?
P2.
C10.
you said P2?
Yeah, P2.
P for Paul.
Except on P1.
F1,
It feels really weird now having mics and all that. It's a whole different vibe in here, right?
and CA1.
Nothing working. What was the last one? I'm sorry.
CA1, 800 Monroe.
We'll repeat all the ones.
I have it all.
Okay, great.
Excuse me. A3, resolution adopting business alliance budget. Oh,
Just saying the ones that moved.
Correct.
yeah, I don't need to read it all. On everything but A3, CA1, CA4, CA10, F1, P2. Mr. Farina, call the vote.
On the consent, Mr. Cohen? Aye. Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Ron?
Mr. Presidano? Aye. Mr. Quintero? Aye. Mr. Ramos? Aye. Mr. Russo? Aye. President Chantino?
Yes. A3, resolution adopting the Hoboken Business Alliance budget for fiscal year 2025. Actually, for that, we need to open the public hearing. Do any council members wish to speak on it? You can speak again if you want. Do you want to? Because we have to open a public hearing, even though...
We already did.
No, that was a presentation. I don't want you to, but you may.
We have to make it official. There was a hearing, and members of the public have to ask questions on that hearing. Is that correct, Council President? Okay. Well, I'm going to ask the question again. I asked it in consent agenda. I would like to know if all members of the council are in agreement with the budget of the Hoboken Business Alliance. And then my previous question was, why is the alliance so top-heavy in their board, and how can members of the public, regular members of the public, I might add, apply for any board or any position in their board? These are the questions that I wanted to ask. Again, I thank them for the presentation. It was concise and clear, but there are some things that I always wonder, why doesn't the city do certain things that they are doing? Why do we have to budget out something else when it should be? I used to remember, and I participated, I shouldn't even perhaps speak, but I used to decorate things in this very building, the Christmas trees and things like that. They were sent out for them to be decorated. And I'm going to say his name. It was Maurice Fitzgibbons who initiated that when he was up there in the Cultural Affairs office. So these are just questions. They're doing an expert job. They have all the knowledge to do so. But if you are happy with the budget, and if they could answer the question, or you can answer the question, how can a member of the public become a member of that board that they have mentioned this evening? Thank you, Council President. Those are the questions. Thank you for listening.
Any other members of the public wish to speak in the public hearing? Motion to close public hearing?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is Roxanne gone?
She's still here.
Roxanne,
The application process, how did someone want to do that?
oh, how does someone get on the board? Thank you.
And also mention the advisory board as well.
So the Board of Trustees worked with both legal counsel and governing counsel like a nonprofit governance expert to design an application process. That application process was published in a newsletter. It was published on our Instagram account. It was mailed around to all of you. We tried to make it as clear as possible how to... Yeah, it was noticed at City Hall. There were paper copies available. That was the process that the board voted on for 2023 elections. The governance committee will review that process to determine if it is the process they will use for 2024 elections. And we will let you guys know what that process is. But there was an application, and then the board had a committee that reviewed them all.
Also, that all board members, all trustees are volunteers, so having 15 board members at no cost to the budget actually improves our breadth and depth of expertise and partnerships with the community.
Council President?
Yes, Councilor.
A member of the public made a statement that the salaries were $630,000. Is that accurate?
631.
We have a budget line that includes management for that. I don't have that.
How many employees is that?
We have 5 employees.
They also asked a question about the 4C zone. What would it look like if, in fact, the city removed 4C from the overall assessment? What would the budget look like?
Let me.
Because my concern again, and I make no qualms about saying this year over year, the budget continues to increase. I continue to ask for what the direct benefits for the third ward specifically are, and I never really get any clear answers as to what those are. I think there's a big disconnect between what happens elsewhere and in those 4C properties. So have you explored removing 4C from the assessment?
Yes.
What does that look like?
So we explored removing 4C from the assessment, and the Board of Trustees determined that 4C properties are a business and decided to keep them in. We provide services that make it easier to find tenants in Hoboken. We provide public realm improvements that increase the kind of.
I don't mean to cut you off, and I appreciate the board's perspective on it. Quite honestly, it's not the board's decision to include 4C or not, it's city council's decision. So I asked specifically what it would look like if we remove 4C. What does that do to the budget?
We can certainly work up those numbers. I don't know that we have the answer off the top right.
Well, it would increase costs for everyone else, is what would happen unless we were to cut services significantly.
Could you please work those numbers up? I'd like to explore that further. I just don't see the benefit for those properties, and I would like to remove them from.
Yeah, happy to look into that.
I appreciate it.
Right. Any other council members while they're up here? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Council members, do you have any comments on A3 other than?
Just I would comment that explaining how we're going to, what we think of the budget will be revealed when you vote on it, I would imagine, as opposed to articulating it.
Except for my vote on the budget is not based on the budget. I actually am fine with the budget and fine with the job the HBA is doing. But as I said at the last council meeting, I did do a little bit of research on a member of the council reaching out to someone in the HBA, and it was long, long before the person even applied for the HBA. And I'm just not comfortable with that. I think I've always felt pretty strongly that the HBA not be influenced by the administration, and kind of makes it feel like that's not happening, and I'm just not comfortable with that. So I will be a no vote tonight. Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Mr. Cohen? Aye. Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Mr. Presidano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
No.
President Giantino?
No.
Okay.
CA1.
Council President,
Yep.
just quickly, I just
Let me
want
read it
to.
really quick.
Yeah.
Resolution approving the concept design for 800 Monroe Resiliency Park and authorizing action by the administration to effectuate the project pursuant to the Chapter 56A of Hoboken City Code.
Thank you. One, I'm very happy to see this come to fruition. The only one thing that I wish I had a little bit more time was to communicate back to the surrounding public once we got the draft. I've been asking the administration, they've been great, they've been kind of letting me know. But I think what happens a lot of times is we're so eager to get some of these projects out to the public, it doesn't really give us, as the council, the opportunity to kind of digest them and then go back to the very immediate community that it affects. So just a small little issue there, but overall, I'm happy that it's here and I'm happy we're moving forward.
Please call the vote. Mr. Farina, CA4. CA4, call the vote.
CA1.
Oh, CA1, I crossed it out, so it's done. CA1, sorry.
Mr. Cohen?
Aye.
Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Mr. Presidano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo? President Giantino?
Yes. CA4, resolution awarding professional service contract to AKRF for engineering services at Resiliency Park in the amount of $28,800 funded by B113. Councilman
President Zona.
P.
I have a question. This one's just baffling to me. We spend, correct me if I'm wrong, close to $100 million. I mean, I'm not 100% confident it's 100, but I've been told that. And we didn't think anything about shade? I mean, and now we have to go pay for a study?
You got
To find out if we need shade? We don't need a study, we need trees, we need something, we need canopies. I mean, I don't need $28,000 to...
It isn't a study.
It's engineering.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if I read it said study.
It's not, yeah.
So, but my question is, the park's built, right? And we have no shade. Everybody's complaining about shade, but we didn't think about this when we built the park. I'm trying to understand this.
We did think about this when we built the park, and actually, once some of the mature trees grow in, then yes, there will be substantially more shade. It is going to take several years to get there, and our residents would like shade now.
Okay. So we're gonna put tarps up, or those three like, wind sails or whatever?
They're called shade structures and shade sails, yes.
I mean, we spend all this money in these parks. I mean, this seems something pretty basic. The trees are gonna take 10 years to grow, or 2 years. I don't know what these trees grow at. How do we not think about this? We tout this park as like the most awesome park, but evidently I just read that, I don't know if this is true either, that the earthquake evidently broke brand new construction. It didn't break any other pipes in Hoboken, which are 100 years old. So this is just, they're like money pits, these parks. And I don't understand where there's a problem somewhere, because maintaining a 5-acre park is gonna cost us millions of dollars a year. So I'm absolutely confused is when we design these things, how do we not think about that the trees are not gonna grow quick enough and the park's gonna be super hot? It's just baffling to me. Our planning process on this park, before I'm sitting up here, even I was just watching it, it seems like things break left and right. We had the basketball court issue where, yes, it was covered under our insurance plan with the gentleman that put it down or the company that put it down, but it seems like one after the next problem with this park. So I'd like to make more of a comment that, you know, when we build parks, let's think about the shade before we do it. If we have to put sails up when we're doing it, let's get that in the first part, because one thing I just hate doing is keep coming back and keep putting more money towards it, more money towards it, more money towards it. So.
Any other council members?
Well,
Council President?
you know, upkeep of parks is more money into it, more money into it. I mean, you can't expect us to get a park. I mean, I think the Southwest Park, the trees there are now starting to actually, they've grown enough over the years where we do have a bit of a canopy there, and it'll only get better. So, but I don't, you know, yes, you have to maintain public parks, and you know, there are issues that come up and you address them. So earthquakes happen.
That earthquake thing's a little questionable.
Brand new, yeah, there you go. It's brand new, right? I mean, how does this break? It's not like deep in the ground.
Council President?
Yeah, Council.
I want to speak a third time, but
I'll speak anytime I want.
No, stop,
Right?
stop.
Really?
You too.
Yeah.
Stop.
So why don't we
Stop.
Go ahead.
No, stop.
Phil,
Go,
you're
Councilman.
ridiculous.
Councilman Cullen.
Thank you, Council President. Sat under a really nice shady awning for Alessia's Cafe in Resilient City Park this past weekend, and a lot of people were enjoying the shade in that park. It's beautiful as you come out and enjoy it. I think that the purpose of this is to have additional shade for the park. It's not like there is no shade in the park. I mean, there were, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 people enjoying their Alessia's food, which is terrific, and we're getting rent out of that. I know that that's a good thing. And it's a revenue positive thing for the city, which is a nice thing. So yes, I just want to say that people should come to Resilient City Park, enjoy it, go to Alessia's and enjoy them afterwards. Thank you, Council President.
Council President.
Yes.
I'm going to echo some of Councilman Doyle's comments in which, you know, upkeep costs money, and it's a part of something that's going to be with us for 50 plus years. I could also forgive folks for not thinking of every possible permutation of thing that we're going to need ever. And per Councilman Cohen, there is shade, but now that we're using it, as we use anything, you move into a house, you build a house, you think you have it perfect, but you move in, and then you say, oh, actually, I wish I could have tweaked this, and you make those tweaks, and you pivot and you move forward. But let's not forget the main purpose of this park, one of the main purposes of this park, which really hit home for me on Friday as I ducked into a bar to escape the deluge that was falling. And somebody just recognized me and said, hey, when are we going to make it through this today, or are the cars going to start floating? I looked out, noticed how much time it was going to take, and I just said, you know, we've got this. You know, we've got this because of these parks.
It was also not a full moon, low tide, so right there, I was pretty certain we weren't going to flood.
No cars floating.
Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Mr. Cohen? Aye. Mr. Doyle? Aye. Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
President Zano?
No.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos? Aye. Mr. Russo?
Only if they're green. Yeah.
President Giantino?
Yes. CA 10, resolution of the City of Hoboken, County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving and authorizing the execution of bulk water agreement with Jersey City Municipal Utilities Authority.
This is a technical question. I saw that we crossed out annual purchase versus committed water, and then it was Redco. Can anybody explain, can somebody explain that to me? Is there a difference, or like, why do we make the change?
Just scroll to the appropriate memo so that I see this appropriately.
You'd never know who's having a baby.
Okay, so the whereas clause that I was looking for is,
F1 is so long.
unless it didn't update myself. But effectively, our goal is so that the fees will actually be associated, so that we're not purchasing too much water.
Okay.
And getting fines for not purchasing the minimum amount of water. So I'm not going to say this as eloquently as I should, and I apologize that I cannot find the document that I'm currently looking for.
So it's just the annual purchase will then be, we say we're going to buy 100 gallons of water. I don't know, I was using an example, versus
Yeah.
if we only use 80, then we get a fine for not using the other 20.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And we
All right.
we want the right volume so that we're not fined prematurely.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did we just do it, I'm sorry.
We adjusted the
We just made-
purchase amount, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
Consistent with our consumption.
Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Mr. Cohen? Aye. Mr. Doyle? Aye. Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
President Zano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
President Giantino?
Yes. F1, resolution of the City of Hoboken in the County of Hudson, New Jersey, determining the form and other details of note relating to the construction financing program of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank to be issued by the principal amount of up to $21 million and providing the issuance and sale of such note to New Jersey Infrastructure Bank and authorizing the execution and delivery of such note by the City of Hoboken in favor of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, all pursuant to the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank construction financing program.
Well done.
A lot of infrastructure.
Could you just give a brief explanation?
We bonded with the iBank for the construction and acquisition of Southwest Park. This is the permanently financing through the iBank's program of that bond.
And currently, what is our debt service for the iBank specifically? Do you know?
Annually, I'd have to go look. I don't have it right in front of me. I can send that to you afterwards. But this is going to allow us to enter into their principal forgiveness program. So that number is actually, our hope is going to decrease both on the acquisition and the construction side.
Could you just shoot me an email with the total amount, what the debt structure is yearly and what's forgivable?
Understood.
And also add the grants that are subtract.
Of course, yeah.
Ms. Farina, call vote.
Mr. Cullen?
Aye.
Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Mr. Prezzano? Aye. Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
President Giantino?
Yes. Resolution authorizing Capellify to have fireworks display from the Union Dry Dock site on June 27, 2024. Councilman Prezzano? Did you ask for this?
No, it's P2.
P2.
Oh, it is. I read the wrong one. Wait, I have to call.
Yes,
We already passed that.
Yes. I was like, why did you pull that?
Really?
Resolution awarding a contract to Hannah's Mechanical Contractors in accordance with Educational Services Commission of the New Jersey, Hoboken. Excuse me.
Cooperative Purchasing
Yeah, you keep
Contract, number 65MCES, in the amount of $28,732.20 for a mini split replacement for the HPD Garage B office. It's an air conditioner.
How big is this? I mean, when I can't get in it to see it, but how big is this place? It seems, I mean, that's a massive
Oh, how big is the
area that
actual?
you're getting.
Garage B of HPD?
I don't know, the top floor they have, but they got something downstairs. How big is this place?
I don't recall the exact square footage of the actual office, but it's on the, when you pull into Garage B, it's to the right side where HPD has all of their equipment there, their motorcycles. Inside the gated fence area is an office. So that office has a mini split system similar to the ones that you see up here that needs to be completely replaced.
So it's just, again, the office, it sounds like it's not the size of this room, is it?
It's not the size of this room, but there is no airflow whatsoever in there without a system. So not only is it
What's new?
complete replacement. So the current one that's there does not have any heat or AC. So not only would this function in both the winter and the summer months.
Okay. Again, if it's a small room, 28,000 seems pretty aggressive.
Yeah, they are expensive systems, but they tend to have at least 10 years of use of life. And it does come with a warranty as well. And it is on a state contract.
We don't have to go out to bid this, right? Because it's under the threshold, correct?
That's the condenser and the unit itself?
Yeah, the unit itself, they will use anything that is still within value and they could use, but the actual unit itself is what the cost is for.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Mr. Farina, call the vote.
Mr. Cullen? Aye. Mr. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Jabour?
Yes.
Mr. Prezzano?
Aye.
Mr. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Mr. Russo? President Giantino?
Yes. Ordinances. Oh, he has to cough too.
Okay, ordinance number 1 for first reading. Ordinance of the City of Hoboken amending fees and responsibilities relative to filming permits.
Please call the vote.
Councilman Cohen. Aye. Councilman Doyle.
Aye.
Councilwoman Jabour.
Yes.
Councilman Prezzano.
Aye.
Councilman Quintero.
Aye.
Councilman Ramos.
Aye.
Councilman Russo. Council President Giantino.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2 for first reading. Ordinance amending Hoboken City Code Chapter 192, parking for persons with disabilities to relocate and reserved ADA parking space.
Please call the vote.
Councilman Cohen. Aye. Councilman Doyle. Aye. Councilman Jabour.
Yes.
Councilman Prezzano.
Aye.
Councilman Quintero.
Aye.
Councilman Ramos.
Aye.
Councilman Russo. Council President Giantino.
Yes.
Ordinance number 3 for first reading. Ordinance amending Hoboken City Code Chapter 166, stormwater management to comply with NJDEP MS4 Tier A permit requirements.
Please call the vote.
Councilman Cohen. Aye. Councilman Doyle. Aye. Councilman Jabour.
Yes.
Councilman Prezesano. Councilman Quintero. Councilman Ramos. Councilman Russo. Council President Giatino.
Yes.
Ordinance number 4 for first reading. Ordinance of the City of Hoboken and the County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of a deed of easement granting an easement on certain city property to the North Hudson Sewage Authority in connection with the American Legion project.
Please call the vote, Mr. Green. Oh, Mr. Lawler.
Councilman Cohen. Aye. Councilman Doyle. Aye. Councilwoman Jabor.
Yes.
Councilman Prezesano. Aye. Councilman Quintero. Aye. Councilman Ramos. Aye. Councilman Russo. Aye. Council President Giatino.
Yes.
Ordinance number 5 for first reading. Ordinance establishing Hoboken City Code Chapter 169, trees to comply with NJDEP MS4 Tier A permit requirement.
Please call the vote.
Jason. Go ahead.
Go.
Councilman Cohen. Aye. Councilman Doyle. Aye. Councilwoman Jabor.
Yes.
Councilman Prezesano. Aye. Councilman Quintero. Aye. Councilman Ramos. Aye. Councilman Russo. Aye. Council President Giatino.
Yes.
Ordinance number 6 for first reading. Amendment to ABC regulations to allow for nonprofit theater license.
Please call the vote, Mr. Lawler.
Councilman Cohen. Aye. Councilman Doyle.
Aye.
Councilman Jabor.
Yes.
Councilman Prezesano. Aye. Councilman Quintero. Aye. Councilman Ramos. Aye. Councilman Russo. Aye. Council President Giatino.
Yes.
Motion closed.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.